For all the things we say or don't, for all the action we take or won't, for all the heart and time we dedicate to our loved ones, our professions, our cause, or don't. How can we conduct ourselves on the daily has the power to impact those around us in unimaginable ways. Today, we'll talk why the things we say, the messages we relay, the time we offer, and the heart we put into the things we do makes all the difference. I'm welcoming guest entrepreneur Alamin Muhammad of Syracuse, New York, from We Rise Above the Streets, and Daryl's House, keyboardist, multi-instrumentalist, and singer-songwriter, the very talented Eliot Lewis. I'm Amanda Ashley, and this is Afternoon Cocktail, episode 54. Welcome. Welcome in the extremely talented, my friend, Mr. Eliot Lewis. How are you?
Hello, I'm doing good. I'm doing good. Yeah, good to
So,
see you guys.
yeah, so awesome to have you and to see you again. It's been about 5, 6 years, so it's great to have you.
I know.
Eliot, what are you going to perform for us?
Well, I'll do a song that this is a song I wrote, I think about in April or something like that. Excuse me. You know, when things got a little serious and we were locked down and I was kind of separated from my girlfriend. And so I wrote a song about, kind of being isolated through this. So it's a song called When This Is All Over.
Awesome. Take it away.
Yeah. Looking out this window and everything is still. Thinking about tomorrow, is this a test of will? And I'm drifting like a satellite, and I don't have a plan. So wake me up right before we land. Early morning showers never seem to end, washing over darkness till the sun can shine again. And I can't wait a million years to feel your lips on mine. But till then, I've got so much time. When this is all over, when this is all through, there's nothing in the world that can keep me coming for you. When this is all over and we're coming through, there'll be 100 ways that I'll be kissing you. Looking at your picture, you're shining brighter than the sky. And what I give to see you, I'd walk 100,000 miles. We can weather it together, keep our love alive, till we reach that moment back in time. When this is all over, when this is all through, there's nothing in the world that can keep me coming for you. When this is all over and we're coming through, there'll be 100 ways that I'll be kissing you, in 1,000 ways that I'll be touching you. Oh, yeah. Oh, this is all over, when this is all through, there's nothing in the world that can keep me coming for you. When this is all over and we're coming through, there'll be 100 ways that I'll be kissing you, in 1,000 ways that I'll be touching you, and 1,000,000 ways that I'll be loving you. Yeah.
Yes, bravo, Mr. Eliot Lewis. So, Eliot, that track that you just played behind your guitar and voice, did you compose all that yourself?
Indeed, I did.
I knew it. You are so talented. So, how many instruments do you actually play?
I guess 4 you can consider. I'm also being a vocalist. So yeah, I started as a drummer when I was a little kid. Went from drums to guitar to bass and then keyboards. And
Wow.
it was really a situation where, I mean, I just gravitated to the drums when I was a kid. It just seemed like the coolest thing. And basically what happened was I have 2 older brothers. My family was pretty musical. My mom was an amazing classical pianist and a teacher. So I was always exposed to a lot of music. And 2 older brothers that were, just turned me on to all the best music, all the best rock, and all the best soul, and all the best funk music when I was a kid. And I think what happened was they bought my one of my brothers a drum kit, and like almost a toy drum kit, like nothing good or real. And he kind of gave up on it like after 2 days. And I picked it up, and I was like, it was that light bulb moment where I was like, this is what I want to do for the rest of my life. So
That's so cool.
years old, it's just a matter of having fun when you find something like that. You're not thinking about money or career. And then, when I got a little older, I started thinking that I really wanted to, write songs. So that's when I kind of crossed over to guitar and became a guitar player. And then a couple opportunities came up where I had the chance to be a bass player in a band because they already had guitar players. So I kind of did that. And then in the 80s, when the technology really exploded with synthesizers and sampling, and I just head first into that, and really to be a sort of self-contained songwriter. Because back in the 80s, I was also fortunate enough to land a couple of publishing gigs. So I was like a staff writer for Sony for about 5 years, and then Warner Brothers for about another 3 or 4 years. So I did a lot of collaborating, but I did a lot of work on my own too. So having the ability to put together music on a lot of different instruments really served me well.
So, when you started working for Sony and for those other avenues, is that what really kind of introduced you into the music business and to some like higher ups?
Yeah, it definitely was a crossing point. There was a lot going on for me in the 80s. It was a really great time. I had also, almost coinciding with me getting publishing deals, basically, at that point in my life, I was working in a music store because you've got to make money. You're right. You've got to have some income in order to support your dream, which is what I was doing. And I would come home from work every day and lock myself in my little home studio and write for about 4 or 5 hours. And I did this for a couple of years until I had a catalog of songs that I felt good enough about to try to shop a publishing deal with. But at the same time, I was also working with an amazing producer named Dan Hartman, who lived local to me in Connecticut. I think it was one of my brothers that introduced me to him, and he was working with James Brown at that point. He put me on a whole bunch of records, so I was on a big Tina Turner hit record, and Joe Cocker, and he kind of let me just look over his shoulder and as a producer, and really took me under his wing, and he was like a mentor to me. So there was a lot going on at that point in my life. And then I met Alan Gorey from the Average White Band and became a member. We were songwriting partners for a couple of years, and they put the band back together, and all of a sudden, I was a member of the Average White Band.
And then also from Average White Band, didn't you do some work with Cheap Trick?
Well, only on much later on. So
Okay.
I was with the Average White Band for 13 years, and that's what led me to be introduced to Daryl Hall. Because the bass player Alan Gorey and Daryl had been friends since the 70s. They were both on Atlantic Records back in the day. So, Daryl would see me in the Average White Band a couple of times, especially when we were over in London playing. And, after a couple of times, I got to know him, and he kind of made it known that he would love me in his band. So a couple years went by. I ended up joining Hall and Oates, and then of course Daryl started his show live from Daryl's house, and then Cheap Trick came much later on. And I always, when I tell the story, any time that we would be discussing what artist should come on the show, and there's been so many. I'm such a Cheap Trick fan. I would always be like, Cheap Trick, please, Cheap Trick, because I grew up with them. I was listening to them
Yeah.
when I was 14 years old. It's such a fun band. So I've been very blessed and fortunate to work with, like I don't know, 100 different, major artists at this point.
That's so cool. I couldn't even imagine. I mean, all the people you've met. I mean, just on Daryl's house alone. Nonetheless, like all the people you've met even before then. I
Mm.
mean, so what was like the solidifying moment that you were in Daryl Hall's band? Like, did you have to audition? I mean, you said he already had seen you, but what was like that closing line? That okay, we're doing this.
Yeah, there was definitely that moment. So what happened was I left the Average White Band. I guess this was in something like 2001. I had done 13 years with them, and I never expected for it to go that long. But it was such a great experience that I thought I'd do this for 5 years and then I'd move on to something else. So after 13 years, I thought this is the right time to make a change, and I left under great circumstances. And then like a year and a half went by, and I kind of got off the road. I was, been traveling and doing like 200 shows a year with the Average White Band. And about a year and a half went by, and T-Bone, Daryl's right-hand man. T-Bone he passed away some years ago, but he was the guy on Saturday Night Live with G.E. Smith, and he was Daryl and John's right-hand man. And he called me and said, "Hey, Al, I'm here with Daryl, and Daryl's going to do a solo tour, and we're trying to think of somebody that can play, keyboards, maybe some bass, some percussion, and sing." And we're like, "Oh, we got to call Elliot." So he said, "Would you be interested in doing it?" And I was like, "Yeah, I'm ready to get back on the road." So it was just a little short tour. It was like a 2-week tour. And but after the tour was done on the last night, he looked at me and said, "Do you want to be in the band for real?" And I was like, "Sure." But the position that was open was the keyboard position, because I guess they were having trouble with their keyboard player at the time. So it was like, "Sure, I'll do it."
So I mean, you play, yeah, I've seen you mainly play keyboards with him on Daryl's house, but sometimes you pick up the guitar too, right?
But they've always had guitar players, so
Mhm.
there hasn't been a lot of room for or need for me to play guitar. There's been a few episodes early on. There were some episodes where I played a lot of acoustic. And Billy Gibbons from ZZ Top was one of the
I've seen
episodes.
that one.
Fun because he brought his own keyboard player with him, so he's like, "Hey, the more guitar, the better." So I got to play on that a couple of other episodes.
What was one artist that you've met that like kind of has there been anybody that's really kind of had you starstruck or like geeking out? I mean, I know you said you're a big Cheap
Yeah,
Trick fan, but was there like ever a moment where you're like, "Oh my God, I'm so nervous to meet," or "I'm so excited to meet these people"?
the nervous thing wore off a long time ago because
Yeah.
I'll make a long story short. I grew up when I was 10 years old and started drums. I met my best friend at the time, who I just saw yesterday, in fact. It was his birthday.
Oh.
I was starting drums, he was starting bass. So, and we're back in elementary school. Well, his father was really heavily into the music business. He was in promotion. He was an A&R guy. And so, long story short, is he took his son and I to see Peter Frampton, Alice Cooper, The Who, Elton John. Every week we would go see a show and not only see them, but meet these people. So
Wow.
I've been meeting people like that. And I jammed with Peter Frampton when I was like 14 years old with him. And so I've been kind of around people of that sort of level for all my life. So the nervous thing kind of wore off. But, I mean, one of the early episodes on Daryl's show was Smokey Robinson and then Booker T and then Joe Walsh. And I'm sitting next to these people and Todd Rundgren, somebody that I was a huge fan of and inspired by heavily. Um, so I don't want to say it's normal because there's always that sense of these people have incredible impact on the world in music. Um, so it's just been mind blowing. I never thought, my career would turn into what it has.
I think probably at a certain point you've met all these incredible people and artists, at the end of the day you just realize how human everybody is, It's like these are just regular people. Like, yes, it's exciting. Yes, I respect them, but wow, that person's just normal, like they're just like me and my best friend that I had birthdays with yesterday, like
Yeah.
um
I have a million stories. I mean, Joe Walsh just seemed like, I mean, he's legendary, in the Eagles in his own career. And he picked up his guitar when we got into the music, and he looked like a 14-year-old. He was just so in the moment and so happy to be playing. And then the next episode, I think we work with CeeLo Green. And, at that point, he's on TV every week, so he's a larger than life figure, And he came in, he was like really shy. I was like, wow, this is, to see people in different elements is really interesting. It's been quite fascinating.
Who is somebody that you would love to have the opportunity to perform with or to meet that you haven't yet?
Well, one of my dreams, actually, both of the artists that I had always really wanted to work with, and we got somewhat close to working with on Daryl's show, was David Bowie. Of course, he passed.
Mm.
And another um, would have been a real, completely full circle moment for me was Glenn Campbell. I don't know if you know of Glenn Campbell.
Yeah.
I was, I mean, he was probably the first artist that I wanted to emulate when I was 10 years old. And so we almost had him on the show, but he was getting really sick and he had, a really bad case of Alzheimer's. So they kind of said, it's going to be a little too unpredictable. So it didn't happen. Um, but Stevie Wonder would be somebody. We actually, we're doing a show and he was backstage and Daryl approached him and said, "We would love to have you on the show." And he was like, "Yeah, I would love to do it." Um, Robert Plant is another one that we crossed paths with a couple of times and said, "Oh, I would love to do your show." So we're hoping that the new production of the episodes come back so we can fulfill some of those.
Sure. Now the show's been well, could you explain, you had explained earlier to me before we went on camera about so the show was in production for 6 years, right?
It actually closer to 8 years. I think it was
Okay.
or something like that. Yeah.
And now it got picked up by a different station that's like people are seeing it for the first time on other stations, so they're like have it on a rotation.
Yeah, it went from one network, it went through a couple of networks and then ended up on I think Palladia and then MTV Live and now Access TV has got the show. So I think they've released like 20 or 25 episodes now. So it's giving it a new life. And I think they're releasing two episodes that hadn't been released previously. So that's kind of cool. And we're hoping that it'll lead to, I think, new production for the show because there's this fan base for it all over the world. So it's a really cool show. I think it's pretty unique, you know.
Absolutely. I miss Palladia. I used to watch Palladia. I mean, MTV like bought it out and it just wasn't the same. But
They
I think that's actually where I first caught the show.
okay, yeah. Yeah, there's a lot of them on YouTube. A lot of them have been archived on YouTube, so you can find some of them there. But of course, Access TV has got the full res, shows happening now.
So, I mean, outside of Daryl's house, I mean, you've been touring with Hall and Oates. I mean, you've had some pretty incredible opportunities. What was it like? What's it like to check off items on your dream list? Like you just performed in Madison Square Garden fairly recently, right?
Well, yeah, like I was saying earlier, we did two shows this year. I mean, the past 5 years have just, I mean, the whole 15 years I've been in the band has been amazing. But the past 5 or 6 years, their level keeps increasing, which is just mind blowing. So it's been, arena shows. We were out with Tears for Fears a few years ago, then Train. And then this year we started off with Squeeze and my friend Katie Tunstall.
Oh,
And
I love her.
yeah, she's great, and she's a good
Yeah.
friend. She's awesome. So we only did two shows before things got scary, and had to shut down. And to think also too that I was in New York at the very end of February in Madison Square Garden with 16,000 sold out 16,000 people, and I was out in the audience seeing friends, and nobody had a mask or even knew what was coming. But certainly the virus was already in New York at that point. So
Yeah.
to think that happened, and we all hopefully dodged a bullet at that point. Um, but yeah, no, it's been I the list of all the venues I played are above and beyond what I ever dreamt of. I did dream of playing Madison Square Garden because, like I was saying, my friend that I grew up with, one of the first shows that I ever went to was at the Garden, and I was almost more blown away with the Garden as I was with seeing the artist. So it was just always a dream I had, and I never actually thought I would play there, and now I've played there 3 times.
It's
So
amazing.
yeah, and Red Rocks and the Hollywood Bowl and the Wembley in London. Yeah, it's been awesome.
So Elliot, in between you touring with Hall and Oates, I mean, you've been promoting your solo work as well. I
Yeah.
mean, how do you have time to even to even write and compose like all this stuff in between your work with them, and to push it?
It's a lot of juggling, but as you know, you're an artist as well. If you love it enough, you put in the work and the time, and it is work. But when you love what you're doing, you just do it.
Yeah,
So I've managed to keep my solo career sort of balanced with them, and like I was saying earlier, I've been lucky enough to schedule my own solo shows, much smaller shows, in between some other dates on the road. And logistically, it's a little challenging to make it all line up, but I've done it, and but now we don't really know what's going to happen. A lot of bands that are with the Live Nation company, when they're working on that level and you're trying to put 12, 15,000 people shoulder to shoulder, I don't think anybody really knows when that's going to happen safely again. We're all
yeah,
hoping for next year, but being a much, much, much smaller solo artist, I think I can proceed doing these smaller, socially distanced outdoor shows, and probably keep pretty busy. And I, like a million other musicians, have kind of gravitated to doing the virtual shows and streams, and you know, uh, so it's all good.
yeah. And how often are you? You said you're streaming pretty much a few times a week, right? Where can our audience find you streaming?
Well, as of like March, I think I started doing something almost weekly. So I probably did, I don't know, 25 or 30 streams, and then took a little bit of a break because I had some shows to prepare for, and and I have a couple more shows coming up. I just did a live stream at Daryl's Club just last week. So I think I'll finish out these shows, and then probably by mid-October, I'll start up the live streams again. And also, I'll create a little virtual concert experience where I can, my live streams have been like do two or three songs and chat with my fans and answer questions. But I'm going to set up a little, like a virtual performance where you can see more of a full length show as well.
Elliot, what's your ultimate goal for your solo work? Where would you like to take it?
Um, I just a continuation of what I've been doing. And I think with what's happening naturally, that I'll be able to proceed next year and hopefully reach some more people. But we have to take it day by day with what's going on with the virus because really nobody knows. And we all hope that it's going to get better and it's going to go away and there's going to be a vaccine and we'll get back to normal, but we don't really know. So we kind of have to, you know, as much as we all want to plan stuff for next year, it's not necessarily going to work out like we hope. But certainly, having a little bit more time at home and not traveling, I'm definitely writing more and creating more, which is a good thing. And I'll continue to do that for sure.
So today's theme is impact. Okay. I wanted to ask you, I mean, what has had the greatest impact on your personal growth throughout the course of your music career?
Hmm. I think just embracing the connection that I have with people through music is such a powerful thing. I just thank God every day for music because, especially what's going on in the world right now with the pandemic and all the political craziness, to have music to turn to and share with people. And there's been times where, you know, I think a lot of us kind of, we don't give up, but we kind of think, wow, is it worth putting in all this time? And then there'll be a week where I miss a live stream and I'll just get this outpouring of people from people going, God, we miss your live streams. We need music. And I realize how special it is, not just me, but just connecting with people through music. And that's been a consistent thing my whole life that I really appreciate.
I definitely notice, I mean, since all this has happened, I think the impact of music has become way more apparent to people who are non-musicians even, just the power of music, what it does for people, how healing it is, and to be a creative person and an artist and to bring that and to not only impact others um, with what you're sharing, but the impact that comes in return from sharing your gift. It's such a it constantly is giving. I find that as an artist, and I'm sure you can relate to that as well. Um,
Yeah, I mean, I know how music affected me from the earliest points in my life, how special it was. And especially back in those days where you invested in a band or an artist and it was just so important to you and you got so much out of it. It's a little different now, but I think there are a lot of people that still they need music in their life. It definitely fills a space, and it's like sometimes it's like a time machine. People hear songs that bring them back to such a good place in their life, and that's such a powerful thing, and that connects us all. You know.
Absolutely, I agree 100%. I got to ask this one question, and then I have to welcome our next guest. But what is your favorite Hall and Oates song?
Oh wow, there's a lot, as you know.
What's actually? I'll change it. What's the most fun to play out of all those songs?
Well, that's a whole different question. So I will say that She's Gone is probably my favorite song, only because it's really the first Hall & Oates song that I heard when I was a teenager, and it was dominating the radio. And it's just an impeccably written song, I think. It's one of those songs where I would say, yeah, that's a perfect song. And there are a
Yeah.
few of those. But I would say You Make My Dreams Come True is probably one of the most fun because of the reaction it gets in the audience. It's just like, all right, that's you usually save that for the end, and they've had so many hits, but but then there's Rich Girl, there's No Can Do, and there's
No Can Do is my fave.
there's a million.
Love that song.
Yeah.
And on the show too, I mean, I've heard a few different versions from different artists that have come to perform on the show. I believe it. Yeah, it's such a sweet song. Yeah.
They
Well,
have the gift of writing great songs for sure.
absolutely. It was so fun. Elliot, thank you so much for your time and for being you. It's really a pleasure to have met you, to know you, and to still be able to call you a friend. I really appreciate you. Where can our audience be directed to your music?
Yeah, you can find me on social media, on Facebook, on Instagram, and my website, just eliotlewis.com.
You're amazing. And we're going to hear
Yeah.
another song from Elliot in the end. Before I welcome Al Amin Muhammad, I'd like to just throw out a shout out to our season 3 sponsors, Electronic Merchant Systems locally. If you're in Rochester and you need help accepting credit card payments or beyond in Western New York, make sure you see the Charge Card guys. Thank you to Compeer Rochester for your support in our community and in our show. And Salvatore's Pizza. If you are having a lazy Monday and you don't feel like cooking, go order a pizza from them. Al, how are you? Thank you so much for joining us. Oh, I think you're, oh,
How
there we
you
go.
doing?
I'm awesome. Thank you so much for being on our show today. I think you are incredible for what you've done.
Thank you so much.
Um, yeah, no, thank you. So, Alameen, can you tell us a little bit about you? A little bit, tell our audience a little bit about your amazing story and what it is that you do at We Rise Above the Streets.
Sure, sure, sure. First, I just want to thank Elliot for that beautiful song, man. That was great. I really
It's
appreciate
cool.
that. Um, my name is Alameen Muhammad. I'm the executive director of We Rise Above the Streets. We Rise Above the Streets is a nonprofit organization that's based in the Syracuse area that go out and feed the homeless and the working poor, to go out and spread kindness, to bring volunteers for all walks of life to come together as one, to go out to the community to embrace kindness.
And so a lot of this today's theme is in your honor. Okay, because I read your story. So you can you tell us a little bit about your background? So and what brought you to I mean, what impacted you to start your mission and to create We Rise Above the Streets?
Yeah, sure. I was raised in Chicago, Illinois, the south side of Chicago, Illinois. My parents is from the island Haiti. They came to America in the 70s. And so when they came down here, my mom and dad was a very working hard parents. And they always taught us to um, always to stick together as a family, to work hard, and continue to pursue our education. So as I was growing up, my parents was my hero. It was two different loves my mom and dad used to embrace me with. My dad was like that strong man. He used to have me fixing cars with him, go out to baseball games, basketball games. My mom was like the nourisher, always saying she loved me, hugged me. So my parents got divorced, So when they finally got divorced, I was really kind of confused because I was so used to that love as a young man. So as I was growing up, I left my dad and moved in uh, with my stepfather and my mom to a whole different area in Chicago. Um, I was as a young man, I was getting really kind of confused and nervous because I was introduced to something that I was not used to. So as I was going on with life, I was growing up. I thought I found the same love by joining the gang in Chicago. So as I was joining the gang, I started loving the lifestyle. And as me loving the lifestyle, I was starting putting a mask on. And when I mean mask, I started being someone that I wasn't.
Mm.
And as I was growing up a little bit much older, I became one of the notorious gangsters in Chicago, one of the gang members in Chicago. Um, I got shot twice. I was pronounced dead once. I seen a lot of my friends in Chicago had died in front of me. I'd have lost a lot of great, great, good friends as well. Um, Been in and out of prison all my life, to be honest with you. As a young man, from a young teenager to adult age, I didn't see horrified stuff in prison. Um, I didn't been through police brutality as well. Um, I didn't seen horrified events in the city of Chicago. So the last time I got out of prison, it was not the last time, but well, one day I got out of prison. I told myself I needed to start something new. I need to get away from Chicago because I'm dodging a lot of bullets, like, and dodging prison time, long time in prison. So I moved to Atlanta with a friend of mine who I used to sell drugs with, and he said he changed his life. He was trying to get a job, and he was trying to move to a different direction in life. So I was up with that to join him. So I went out to Atlanta. I found a job. I was very excited about this job. I was staying at a hotel then, and trying to save money to to get an apartment, and trying to be a man, trying to get back to society. But I still had bad habits though, that I was doing in the street. But it takes time to change, and I knew
Yeah.
that. So a year in my job, I was loving it. One more morning I came up there, they told me they laid everybody off, at the job, and I was really sad about it. But that was the first job I ever had. So I came back to the hotel. I was really kind of scared and nervous. I met a guy at the hotel during the time I was staying there, and guess where he was from? Chicago.
Chicago.
He's from Chicago. So as me leaving off work over the years, when I was working, I used to go over his house, play video games, and his hotel room, play video games and drinking and doing drugs and doing other crazy stuff. So when I got there, and I told him what happened at my job, and he influenced me to get back selling drugs again in Atlanta. So I went right back doing what I was doing in Chicago and did in Atlanta, Georgia. But a lot of people don't know that the laws in the South is totally different from the laws in the Midwest. So when I was out there in Atlanta, I started selling drugs and started bringing that gang life into the city of Atlanta. I really paid for it. I really paid for it. And as I was getting real big in Georgia, I ended up finding out the guy from Chicago, he was an informant. He told him to give less time. He told him it's getting less time, and I got caught again, and I was on my way to do at least 20 years in prison in Georgia because of my background. So this time I got locked up, it was totally different from the times I was incarcerated. This time it took me a long time to get out my cell. I was trapped in my cell for almost 6 months. I was doing some self-reflection, self-inventory by myself. I was rewinding the tape back of all the things I've been through in my life, and I'm still here, and I almost saw death around the corner, and it was a lot of things I was thinking about in the cell, and I was really quiet and not talking to nobody, and I was not embracing the gang life in there. And one day I met a guy in prison. He was so humble. He was my roommate, and I gave him a hard time. He used to pray all the time, and he asked me a question that really shook me. I used to look at my daughter's picture every night, and before I went to bed, they used to put me in peace. And he asked me a question. He was like, "I need to ask you something. If something happened to you today, or when you leave here, what legacy will you leave for your children?" And it really hit me hard, and I started crying because I ain't had no legacy. Only legacy I had was being a drug dealer, going in and out of prison, giving people a hard time, doing evil stuff to people around the world. So I started getting interested in him because he was so quiet to be my roommate, my cellmate. So I found out he was embracing this religion, and I wanted to get interested in this religion, and I did. And I started learning about Islam, learning about a creator, and learning about the beautiful things that in this world as well. So so I seen that mask coming off me. I'm starting finding the true meaning of Alameen, who I am. I'm starting being excited to find a lot of gifts that I had that I never knew when I was in the streets of Chicago. Now, I'm gonna remind you, I was 40 years old finding these gifts, and I was a ninth grade dropout, have a ninth grade education, and little things that we ignore that I was finding out about myself that was getting me excited. I was looking at myself in the mirror and I smiled, and I was like, wow, I got a beautiful smile. Amazing.
Oh,
Stuff like that. Looking at, and in prison, I was going out to the gardens and I got a job planting flowers. And now I love flowers now. It's something that I was embracing. So it was time for me to go to court. I went to court and I was ready to accept anything that it was going to give me. All I want is peace and get out and continue to live my life in peace and embrace the new person I was. So when I went to court, um, the judge gave me 2 years served and 8 years of probation. I was really shocked. Everybody was shocked. That was a true
yeah.
lesson, to my background. And it was because a lot of paperwork and a lot of tampering with officers in Georgia and everything else. They ain't had their stuff together. So I was released. And I was very excited, right? So I knew I had a second chance. I'm like, wow. Although I had like 200 chances, but it's like a second chance. It's like, it's like a second chance to me, So I got out and I was so excited. I said, I want to do this. I want to do this. But it's not that easy when you leave out. I had to get my
Yeah.
ID. I had to get my social security number, social security card. I had to get everything back in track that I ain't never did over the 30-something years of my life. So as I was doing that, I had to go stay at a shelter. I was not used to that, coming from being a notorious drug dealer, making thousands of dollars. Now I'm in a shelter and I'm trying to figure out how to maneuver around the streets in Georgia and meet people. They had to teach me how to be homeless. Ain't that crazy to teach you how to be homeless? So I had to to get way to get food and way to do this. So it was not even the time to go find a job. It was not time to get back to school because you have to do so much being in the streets. By the time you're done doing everything, it's like 5 or 6 o'clock, then you had to go to the shelter. So this is what I was doing over the years. And I look up, it's like almost 10 years. I've been homeless for 10 years, chronically homeless for 10
You were
years.
homeless in Atlanta?
Yes, in Georgia. Yes.
Okay.
I was homeless in Georgia. So it's about 8, 9 years. I just posted a picture on social media of me eating at the shelter. I look totally different. And a lot of people was really shocked and amazed to see the picture of myself. So one day I had decided to really end my life because I was really tired of the life I was living. It's like nothing was not working for me. The only thing that was really worth to uh, hold on to life was my religion, and I was trying to hold on to that, but it seemed like I just wanted to give up. I ate out of garbage cans and panhandling and everything else. So the time I was going to end my life, a car pulled up. And several weeks ago, I was trying to enroll in this program that they find you jobs, get you back in school. It's a self-sufficient program. So
Yeah.
when you enroll in programs like that in shelters, they put you on a list. And then if you don't got a phone, you got to keep coming up there to find out where your name on the list, and then they'll bring you right in the program. So I was tired of going up there because my name was not even near on the top. So a car pulled up. It was the guy who told me to come to the program. He said he was looking for me. So we've been looking for you, man. Your name was on top of that list. Get in the car so I could enroll you. So Monday morning, and we could go ahead and continue the process for you getting in the program. So remind you, I was on my way to commit suicide. And
Oh
he
my
just pulled out
gosh.
of nowhere. You know how big Atlanta, Georgia is?
Yeah,
I'm
I do.
downtown Atlanta, and he just pulled up out of nowhere and said, "Hey, we've been looking for you. Get in the car." And I had plot everything. I planned everything, what I was going to do, what area, how I was going to end my life. So I got in the car. He dropped me off. He said Monday morning. It was Memorial Weekend, and Memorial Weekend is a special day for me doing this work, and I can explain that after I'm
Okay.
done. So he said Monday morning when I come back, we're going to enroll you and we're going to do a couple of paperwork and you're going to tell me how can we help you. So I slept through the weekend, jumped in the shower, went to the clothing closet, did everything, ate good. Monday morning came, walked in his office, sat down. He told me, how can we help you? Tell me what's going on with you. I shared my story to him like I shared my story to both of you beautiful human beings. And after I was done, he looked at me. He told me to stand up. He came a little close. He said, Alameen, what you just shared to me was a horrified story. I am so sorry you have to go through this. I'm here to help you. And I always get emotional. I've been sharing, I'm a public speaker. I share this story all the time. Every time I get to this part, I get really emotional. Because when he walked to me, he grabbed me on my shoulder and he told me that he's so sorry that I went through what I went through. And he said, I'm here to help you. I see greatness in you. One day you're going to help a lot of people out of me. Your story is powerful. I'm here to help you. And whatever I got to do to get you back on your feet, to go out in this world to strive for greatness, I'm going to do it. He came a little closer. He hugged me. He kissed me on my cheek. And he told me he loved me. And I haven't heard them words genuine and that hug since my father. So I left there his office and I did what he told me to do. I went to strive for greatness. I went back to school, got my GED. I went back to, I got to college. I went to Emory. If you look at Emory College in Georgia, that's one of the top colleges in Georgia. They had a program to help people out who's homeless. So I got my associate, graduate from there. That was one of the best times of my life to walk down the stage and my parents seeing me grab that degree. It was so beautiful. So I started doing a lot of volunteering. I started working at the program that I graduate from, started teaching classes there as well, So I met a woman on Facebook. We got married. I went to Syracuse. And we got married. I never heard of Syracuse. I was like, what is that? Is that where Carmen Anthony go to? I didn't know what was Syracuse from. I'm coming from Chicago, and I came to Syracuse. I'm like, wow, I didn't know this was a city. All I know, Carmen Anthony, Syracuse University, and all that. So when I got to Syracuse, and we got married, and and she wanted to pursue her dream by becoming a nurse. And I told her I was going to stay here for several years, but I want to go back to Atlanta, pursue my dream to start my organization because I got all my paperwork, 501c3 to start We Rise Above the Street. So I got to Syracuse. I started getting in the community, started getting to knowing people. And when I mean knowing people, I started going out to the community, doing a lot of listening, doing a lot of eye contact to find out what's the needs in the community, what's going on, why Syracuse is number 8. I'm number 13. The poorest metropolitan city in the U.S. A lot of people don't know that.
I didn't know that. Yeah.
Yes, I was kind of shocked too. I'm like, why this small city is poverty like this? It's past Chicago, Detroit. So I went out to the community and I started serving the homeless community. I started being in a relationship. People started getting to know me, and I said I want to do more. This is not enough. So I started a program called Sandwich Saturday. It's one of the biggest events that really hit the city of Syracuse. And the reason I'm saying this because imagine coming to an event to help a community, but you come to the event and you see different people from different walks of life. You see different religions, different races. You see different genders. You see all type of people. And I'm not talking about over 10, 20 people. We had over 575 people volunteer for us in one room. And every Saturday it's 250 people. We had people from London came and volunteered. They was going to New York to watch the peace drop, on New Year's. We had people from other cities. And after we're done making sandwiches, we make over about 700 sandwiches and sack lunches. We got clothes and other items. We go out to a location that I was going when I first moved down here, building this relationship with the community. We go down there and we serve over like 300 people every Saturday. So this organization, this journey has really opened a lot of hearts and helped a lot of people, the givers and the receivers. I done made national news. Gail King came to my office. CBS.
I watched it. Yeah, that's so cool. You very much deserve all this recognition too. I mean, you're doing an amazing thing for the community, and your story is inspiring. You know, and for people to hear, it's what really grabbed me from your story was the part where you were thinking about committing suicide, and the power of one person's words that could change your day and your entire life course like that, for you to all of a sudden be like, okay, like I was already thinking about change, but these things aren't working out. And like sometimes when things aren't going your way, it just feels like the world just weighs even heavier on you. You look at everything and things just aren't happening the way you want them to, and to have the power of somebody that just says, hey, I believe in you, and to give you that hug and to give you that reassurance, that is so incredibly powerful and touching. And I'm so happy that person approached you. I hope you like give him the biggest sandwich ever of appreciation.
Matter of fact, we keep in contact all the time, and he's still it's like years later, and he's really shocked. He told me he knew I was going to change my life, and he thought I was going to be like, a husband working a 9 to 5, but he never thought I was going to be on another level like I'm in right now.
So
He's still
awesome.
going. I just talked to him 2 days ago, and he was like, "Man, I can't believe what you're doing." He's so
Yeah.
shocked. So
And I'm sure he's shocked but proud,
yeah, real
shocked
proud,
with
real
pride.
proud. Yes,
Yeah.
yes, yes,
That's
yes.
amazing. I mean, so with Sandwich Saturdays, I mean, what's your ultimate goal with your mission? I mean, it's one thing to feed people, right? But you've been homeless and you realize that it's beyond being fed, for nourishment. It's being fed from the soul and the heart.
Yeah.
Do you wish to? I mean, I imagine you wish to see the same change that you had for yourself in these people. You want them to better their lives.
Yes.
How can you inspire them beyond just feeding them to do that?
Um, I inspire a lot of people on the streets by by them seeing that what I've been through myself, and it give them hope. Like, man, if he could do it, I could do it.
Yeah,
And I inspire a lot of people in the city and around the world is that what community can do together. Like every time a violent happen in the city, this organization always sprinkle love right behind the violence. And what I mean by that is by having these Summer Saturday programs, helping people being clean for several years, finding housing, and etc. And and my ultimate goal is, and I'm always telling all the volunteers that's come in and out of Summer Saturday, is to go out there and spread kindness and compassion among the community, to get eye contact, do a lot of listening, less talking, always keep a smile, and that goal has been executed. We
yeah,
execute that goal so much, and since this pandemic, Summer Saturday has been postponed, and it's really hurting a lot of volunteers right now. I get hundreds of letters from volunteers to tell me that they look to come to Summer Saturday, do a hard time of work during the week, picking kids up and everything. So when they bring their kids and their family Summer Saturday, it gives them energy to go back and continue with their lives. So right now, there's a lot of people are hurting right now, and I try to get a lot of people in the city of Syracuse and around the world to continue to get engaged by doing inspirational messages on Zoom. Have children join the Zoom and do inspirational messages, and have them mail the messages or meet me in my parking lot so we can put it in a lunch sack for the homeless. We do a lot on Zoom. I'm being really creative since this pandemic. I've been
we
so
all have
busy,
been.
and I'm about to blow your mind about this. I've been so busy doing a lot of public speaking, doing a lot of traveling, and doing a lot of events in the city of Syracuse. When the pandemic hit, I finally realized that I have worked myself so much that when I finally got 8 hours sleep, it felt so good. Then I finally told myself that this is the opportunity to finish my book. And I completed the book. It's being released October 31st.
Yay! I'm so proud of you. That's amazing.
Yes.
Good. Good. I mean, your story definitely, like, I mean, I hope, I mean, this is a small platform here, but any little bit that spreads awareness of what you've overcome and how inspirational, like, I really truly believe that we all impact one another in
Oh,
every
yes.
single way, good
Yes.
and bad. Even just your friend that pulled you to Atlanta who's trying to make a change for himself.
Yes.
Like
Absolutely.
that was the first step towards, I got to leave, I got to make a change here,
Yeah.
I think everybody at some point, maybe they're not in a gang or they're not incarcerated, but at
Right.
some point something needs to pull you forward,
Yeah.
and yeah, and a lot of the times it's somebody else that takes you there or inspires you, and
Yes.
I wish you continued success,
Thank you.
and you keep doing amazing things, Alameen. Thank you so much for being on our show. Where
Thank
can
you.
our audience find out more about your cause, and how could they help?
Oh man, so it's easy to find me. It's crazy. If they Google "We Rise Above the Streets" or Google my name, my everything about myself that I haven't mentioned is going to pop up. You go on Facebook. I'm really engaged on Facebook and Instagram. They could go on Facebook, Instagram. They could find that because we just reopened. Now, Summer Saturday is going to reopen November 7th, but it's going to be little rules because of the
Yeah.
pandemic, So right now I just went back out in the community several weeks ago. So they could go on Facebook, they could find out all the upcoming events that's happening. They could find out about the release of my book, October 31st, and that's going to be the day I've been clean for 18 years. That's when it's going to be released,
Amazing.
the book. So, yes.
Well, good work, and keep continuing the good work. And make sure you all check out We Rise Above the Streets on Instagram, Facebook, and beyond. Check out, other interviews on was it Good Morning America? I mean, yeah,
Yeah.
it's very inspiring. And
Thank you.
thank you again,
Thank you.
Eliot. Let's welcome Eliot back to close us out with
Yes,
a
yes,
killer
yes.
song.
Al, I mean, that's an incredible story, man. Your story is so inspiring, and
Yeah.
Thank you, Elliot.
you must have a lot of people very proud of yourself. So, unbelievable.
Yeah.
I mean, to be honest with you, when you see my mom and dad is like really bragging, they know what I went through, and every time we go to a family event or we go anywhere, and they just start talking like, and if I leave this earth today, then I'm so one thing I'll be happy is my parents are happy with me.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Well, I'm happy for you, man.
Thank you, Elliot.
Too.
Appreciate that. Thank you.
What do you got, Eliot?
I've got a song here that I'm going to dedicate this to Alameen because his story is so amazing.
Yeah.
But it's a song that I wrote a couple of years ago that I think is definitely appropriate now. It's called "We're in This Together," because I truly believe we are all brothers and sisters in this thing together. So here you go. Goes like this. Would you throw away tomorrow if you had it all today? Would you trade in all your sorrow if happiness was on its way? Would you try to change direction if you were headed for the wall? Recognize a true connection, and let me catch you when you fall, 'cause we're in it together. We're in this together, and if you get off track, I got your back. Remember, oh yeah, we're in this together. Together, you can bet this ain't no test. You don't want it have to be a struggle. Walk a line and do your best, 'cause we're in it together. Oh yeah, we're in this together. And if you get off track, I got your back. Remember, oh yeah, we're in this together. in it together. Oh yeah, we're in this together. And if you get off track, I got your back. Remember, don't you know we're in this together? Hey, we're in it together. Ooh yeah, in it together. And if you get off track, I got your back. Remember, don't you know we're in this together? Ooh, all right, yeah. Ooh, yeah.
Well, we certainly are. Thank you, Mr. Eliot Lewis. You're incredible. And thank you, Alameen, to both of you for sharing your incredible, inspiring stories and souls. Thank you for sharing that with us.
Thank you.
Impact is something we all feel, all know, all are reacting to as current events have us swept up and facing the hard truths about what it means to be a good human. Doesn't it feel ironic that it has taken a global health pandemic to pull us away from our typical distractions and to slap us in the face with all the heavy we are civilly and politically facing? It took a global health pandemic for us to reconsider which of our needs are most dire, what luxuries we are able to live without, to realize our capabilities of what we're even capable of doing on our own, to recognize the important role each of us play in society, and to simply respect people of all professions. We've given new meaning to the word essential. We no longer are in a position of being able to gloss over what's happening around us by carrying on with the distraction of just simply having a busy life. We are experiencing humanity at its finest, and for the first time, getting a hard look at the lives we've created. Head to head, we are faced with emotions as we desperately try to process, what does this all mean? The domino effect this global pandemic has had on all of us is living proof of the ways in which we impact one another. Every day, we are faced with a choice and an opportunity to put some good out into the universe. We are all mentoring someone in our lives, and Alameen's such a bright example of the power of words, how words could take somebody out from, a moment where they're thinking about ending their life to encouraging them to do better for the greater good. The same power of words lies in discouraging words of discouragement or being told that you can't do something that sits with people for a long time. And it's hard to overcome. Simple acts of encouragement, lending a hand where it may be needed, making that extra effort, our actions and the things we do or say very well can leave a lasting impact on someone. So please choose to lead with compassion, and may your actions lead you to inspire someone else's journey. Thank you all very much for tuning in today. Thank you to Beau Productions. Afternoon Cocktail is now available on iTunes, Spotify, iHeartRadio, Amazon Music, a wealth of other podcast resources. So make sure you go download our previous episodes 1 through 27 as we get the rest of it up there and catch up. And we will be back here with a brand new show this Wednesday. Thank you guys so much. Eliot, Alameen.
Thank you.
guys are
Thank
golden.
you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Eliot. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You all have an awesome week, and I'll see you guys Wednesday. Bye.